Hey guys, this is AJ with Dad Jobs. So this is the video where we run electric from an existing outlet up to behind the TV that we are going to mount. If you'd like to watch the complete video with the electric and the mounting and the whole process, you can go here. Or if you'd like to watch just the mounting part and not the running the electrical, you can go here. So, or if you'd like to watch the electrical, we're going to get started right about now. Hi everybody, it's AJ from Dad Jobs. I'm a dad doing jobs around the house, but it doesn't mean moms can't do them too. We encourage it. So anyways, today we're actually going to run electric for this area. It's going to go up in this corner. We're going to run electric from this outlet up the wall up to here so that the cords are in the wall. Well, I'm sorry, the cords are tucked away behind the TV, but the power goes to an outlet over here. We're going to use an old work box that I'm hoping to use just the normal size. I don't remember exactly how much space we have back there, but they do have a compact size that is possible. I did buy it just in case. But once we get in there, that's when we'll find out how much space we have. We are going to show you those steps so that you guys can run your electric to where you need it to be. This is a video I've been wanting to do for a while, but time sometimes doesn't allow you to get to it. All right, we're gonna start with getting this electric done. I'll see you in a minute. First step is turning off the electric that powers that outlet. So luckily I have basement lights on a separate breaker than the actual outlets. So turn that off. Well, I guess this room is actually on the lights, but the other lights are on. Okay, let's go. All right guys, so the lights are on, the power to the outlet is off. So we can work inside that outlet, run up the new cord into the new box up here behind where the TV is gonna go. So first thing I'm gonna do is actually put the TV up on the wall to kind of just make sure I know where I want it to be. Also, I'm gonna use this stud finder to find the stud that we're going to drill the mount into. And I've already used it to kind of find the gap between the studs where we're gonna run the new electrical wire. So I'll show you how to do that. All right, so there is a stud running along this side, and I have this other outlet down here to show me essentially over here. This is where the stud is, and there's actually a little nail hole here, which I'm sure is into the stud. So it's gonna be up against here. I wanna put the box about here. I'm gonna bring the TV over to just make sure that along with the mount, that where the holes are gonna go are gonna be over here. 16 inches on center over here. But I'll show you right now how to do the stud finder. Now this stud finder is pretty cool. So it's got an on-off. It says 1/2 inch stud. Generally studs are 1.5 inches, a 2x4. The thickness is actually only 1.5 inches, but they call it 2x2 in the 2x4. So we're gonna push this button on the side, kind of in the no man's land. Hold the button down, beeps when it's ready, and when we get to a stud, this one's pretty cool. It actually says this is the first edge. There's a little notch here. And it says center. This is center. And this is like the other edge. So just to double check it, this is like the edge. Okay, so which looks like about 1.5 inches. So that's the first stud. Then the second one's going to be over here. Looks like right about there. Okay. That makes a little more sense. So do it a couple times. That way you know where you're working. So essentially I have this stud over here. I have this stud over here. I have the left, right, and center. So the edges and the center of those two studs that I'm going to try and put one box, electrical box, not directly on that stud because we don't need to. It's an old work box, which means you can almost put it anywhere on drywall. It is secured using screws that hold the box up against the drywall and tightens it. And then that one's going to be where the actual mount is going to go. From here, we're going to start with, I'm going to put it up, put the TV up with the mount, and look at it, double check, make sure the placement, that the electrical box is not going to be disrupted or in the way of the mount. All right, let's do that. Next step, I'm going to bring it up here and put it on the wall so we can see where it's going to go. So, want it high, but not to the very tippy top. Okay, so this is about where it's going to go, with the mount being centered on the stud. So there is a few inches over here that are unused. Now, in terms of the electrical box, the stud is like right here on the edge of the TV. So I want it to be hidden. I'm going to bring it in. It looks like it'll probably be hidden no matter where I'm at, as long as it's to the left of the stud. So I'm going to, so here's this stud right here. I'm gonna just probably bring it right over here, close to the stud, but not actually on it. That way we have some drywall meat to grab onto if we need to, or utilize. All right, let's start working on the electric. See you soon. Okay guys, so we have our two studs. I marked this V here to show just where the bracket's gonna be, the width of that. I measured from the center of the bracket over at 7 inches. That's what that is. So we have this amount of space, about that amount of space to work with. First step is I want to put it a little bit higher than the mount. And this box, so these plastic tabs on the top and bottom are going to be laying up against the drywall. So the box we are cutting out, make sure that, you know, as long as you want it to look level, these kind of prevent you from getting the full box, but now that I can use a level to mark from this line over and continue and finish this box off. We're going to cut this out after I draw the box and make sure it's level. And then we're going to run and break into this box to run the new cord up to here. Let's go. I got my level. I just make sure that these lines are up and down nicely. We're essentially continuing them up and down, form the rest of the box. Alright, so now we have our complete box. Little tip. Some people, whether it's this one that's going to be behind a TV or someone that's just adding a outlet somewhere or switch, want it to be level, perpendicular to other things. But sometimes something that it's close to is not perpendicular, and it's going to look weird if this is, or I'm sorry, if this is not level and straight up and down, but this is, this might look off compared to this. So it might be a good thing to measure where you're at. Looks like 7 5/8, 7 5/8. So 9 7/8, 9 7/8. I was measuring the top and bottom of these lines just to see if it was perpendicular to this and if this was actually straight. All right, guys, so the next step is we're gonna cut this. Stud is here, so we have 1.5 to 2 inches of extra drywall space there. This is, the saying, measure twice and cut once. If you're cutting into something that's already established, definitely double check everything. Measure twice, then we can cut. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna probably just think about it and double check a little bit more, but this should work out perfectly. So then we're gonna drill a hole and then use a Sawzall or even a reciprocating saw or cutting tool, reciprocating cutting tool to make that box real nice. Okay, all right, let's go. This is a short little interlude. Generally, when you have an electrical box, if the drywall isn't up, there's gonna be 2 nails or some other way to fasten this box to the studs. That's the most secure way to do it. Generally, when it's being installed, the electrical is being installed, they can do it a lot faster as well as more secure and do it, which is the best way that they've done it forever. So anyway, so these old work boxes, that's actually called new work. Even though we're doing new work on a house and your old electrical stuff, anything that's been established is old, that's what those use new work boxes, because when they were installed, the home was new. The drywall wasn't there, and they were able to easily just hammer in those nails. Anyways, an old work box means that everything that's here is already established. We're adding a box to the old work. So this is old work box. Essentially what it has is these 2 fins that have kind of like a indent, and it has plastic that's pretty strong. So it's not just one little thin piece of plastic, it's got this extra edging that when you tighten these screws, it'll pull this hand or gripper to the drywall and hold this box tight. I've done this a few times, works out well, no big thing. Has the same outlet or wire sections that need popped out so that you can run the wire through it, and same holes that house the faceplate, or I'm sorry, that house the outlet, the actual outlet that goes in here, and then the faceplate screw will go inside the middle of the outlet. So anyways, this is an old outlet box, old work outlet box, and this is a thin area old work outlet box. Has the same 2 little fins, and that's how it holds a box, or holds itself in a wall with drywall and securely, so that it is done right and the electrical is secure. All right, guys, so I'm actually going to open this electrical box that we are going to be tying into first, just to kind of check it out, make sure that what I'm seeing in the wall with the stud finder is matching up. All right, so I've pulled out this outlet. I've double checked the electricity is off. Otherwise I probably would have got shocked by now. Anyways, we got some nice big connectors here that we're gonna try and connect into to run this electricity up. And I see that this is a deep old work box, and it looks like we are, yep, definitely on this side of the stud. So we're gonna bring in wire here and tie them into here and run it up. So let's do it. All right, so this is installing an old work electrical box. We have outlined our box opening here. We have a stud over here, so we have a little bit of drywall to play with here. And we're gonna drill a hole in the wall here and then use probably a Sawzall reciprocating saw to cut out the full box nice and tidy like. So here we go. Okay, so here's our Sawzall. I use the Ryobi products here, and this is an oscillating cut tool that I've used before. It definitely can be used. It might even be a little bit more accurate. Might take a little longer though. So I'm gonna at least start with this and maybe even clean it up with that. So let's cut this box. Go slow. Doesn't need to be done super fast. It's gonna cut, and I mean, you still want it to look pretty good, even though it's gonna get covered up. Wasn't too bad. I mean, was able to do the down cut pretty nicely because of this way, the hole not being from the drill being cut that way. I was kind of sticking the blade this way and wasn't able to get over there in the main corner. Anyways, I'm gonna do the rest with this, just so it's a little more accurate. I'll show you how it works. There we go. A lot better, actually. I recommend this a little bit more if you got it. If not, that Sawzall work, or you can use a drywall knife. I have some of those, but why use those when I got this? I'm gonna just clean up this little corner here, and we should be good. All right, so easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Stick my hand in, and yep, I got about this much space between the stud, exactly as we expected. All right, so this is the box we're going to use. Like it's going to fit a little snug, but we'll fit it. All right, before we do that, we're going to pop out this one of these two bottom holes to create a hole for the wire to come through. And then we're going to also put up a hole through the back on the lower box here that we're going to tie it into. All right, pretty simple. I'm going to use a Phillips screwdriver. I think almost anything would do. So I'm just going to put some pressure here. There we go. Got the bend in. It should be sufficient. Yeah, these ones now have these little tabs here, so this doesn't necessarily break off if you don't want it to. Kind of keeps the cord tight, holds it nice and steady, but the hole's there for the cord to come through. So before we do that, before we put this box in the wall, a couple quick tips. First thing we're going to do is go pop the whole connector thing in the other junction box, or the other electrical box. All right, so we want these out of the way, and there's a couple holes down there, and this one's got it coming down through here. There's one more hole up in this corner that I'm gonna pop through with this screwdriver. Since that's deeper, it actually might be the purple foam insulated shield that we put along the wall before we were finishing the walls. This is what it looks like. You can see this foam backing. That's what's in that hole. So we're gonna be running with that a little bit. Here you go. So you can see the bottom hole, the top hole. I'm gonna run wire from there. So that's actually one of the tips. I'm gonna show you, we're gonna run the wire from there up to there because it's gonna be easier to hit that wire because the hole is a lot bigger. But we're gonna connect it to there so that we can connect it to the outlet up there. Let's go. I have this extra wire that was here from when it's 14-2 wire, it's not 12-2 wire, so it's the thinner stuff, easier to work with. I've worked with 12-2 stuff as well. It's thicker and it's tougher to work with. Anyways, as you can see, I have just a good enough amount to run from here to there. I have a couple feet extra. My tip to you is don't run it down here and try to hit this little hole in the back of this box. This box isn't going anywhere unless you put a new hole in the wall and move it. There's a smaller hole in there that we're gonna try to hit. Well, we're just gonna run it through that hole and run it up. We wanted to kind of ride this side of the wall. So after probably a good 20 minutes, half an hour, trying to fish it both up and down, trying to mold the wire in an angle. I was trying to ride this stud all the way down to try and hit that hole, or up here I was just trying to get it straight up and get it to pretty much hit the hole from here. But the cavity is this wide, and there's also some other wiring that obviously goes to this box. I don't think there's anything else, but either which way, this was getting caught. It was getting caught. I was trying to fish it up, and it was probably hitting the other wires and getting turned or pushed this way or that way. Either which way, the way I got it to work was I fished it up through here, and I had it at a big wide angle so that it was kind of leaning this way. So it was like I was fishing it up, and it was going as best as possible at an angle this way, riding up. So I was fishing it this way into the hole, and luckily it actually was right here underneath the hole when I came up here to try and feel for it. So grabbed it immediately, hooked it, got it over here. It definitely is a little bit of extra, so that's enough there. It's probably enough there. Thank God. That was the hardest part, honestly. It's just the biggest question mark on time and effort. So got it done. Now we're going to open up the we're going to feed the wires into the new box. Get the new box here. Open up the wires, and I'll show you how to splice it in there and hook up this new outlet. All right. So first things first. This old work electrical box. If you're not tired of hearing me say that yet. So I got the hole started. I'll run this wire in here. Have it hooked a little bit. Make sure these flaps are down, because those are the things that, so they turn out or in. So when you turn them, they're gonna flip out, and then they're gonna grab onto the drywall. So might have made the hole just a bad tidbit tighter than it needed to be, but yeah, looks like it was just a little bit, because this has got bent in. Needed to be just a tad tighter. I mean, I could do it. I don't want to there. Now's the time. We do have some extra drywall to play with here. Drywall is even kind of getting a little bit crunched here. So I'm just gonna try not to hit that wire. All right, hopefully that'll make it a little bit easier. All right. Make sure this wire is secure, so we don't want to lose it. So it's really just these screws here. I'm going to tighten them until that flap grabs onto the drywall. Doesn't need to be super tight. It will hold. It ain't going anywhere. So what happens there, I'll show you. So this flap is flat here, and when you turn this, it turns like that. And as you're turning it, so now it's standing up. You keep turning it until it gets tighter and gets pulled into the drywall like that. So, all right, guys, that is secure. We're gonna install this outlet first before we tie into that one. I'll show you how to do that. Let's go. All right, so I bought these outlets with USB ports. This one actually has a USB-A, the typical one that we usually see. And then it has a USB-C, which is one of the newer, or it's the newest technology for USB. A lot faster, 10 times faster, whatever it is. So, I didn't even see these at Home Depot. I did see, well, the ones with the USB-C. I did see ones with the USB-A, the older technology. And they were about $60 for a 3-pack, or about $22 for one. I got these on Amazon, and I've used these in a couple other places down here. They work fine. They work great. You know, all the markings are normal. It's a quality outlet. So this one, I got a 2-pack for $23. So like $11.50 each. So I got the newest technology, and I saved about $9 each on them. So highly recommend getting these on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description below to show you which ones I got. But there's a bunch of them out there. The brand is Top Greener. Might be a little bit greener in terms of energy efficiency. I don't know, but either which way, this is the outlet, and we're going to install it here. All right, so this is installing a new outlet into an old old work electrical box. One of these new USB charging outlets. I don't really need charging up here where I'm mounting a TV, but I might want to add some LEDs that you can plug directly into USB, one of the two, around or behind the TV. So I figure that it would be still beneficial to add that in, or, you know, if I need to plug 2 things in here. So at least I have the option for 2, 3, or even 4 things to be plugged in here. So this is a nice Husky electrical needle nose pliers with a cutter for your wires to strip them and get the metal outside of it, and even cut the wire here. First thing I'm going to do is use a little razor, easily, to cut a few inches of the rubber casing. Be very careful. All right, and they are wrapped in some brown paper, but you don't need, at least not on the exposed wires. All right, so these wires, there's 3, red, black, white, gold, gold, black, white. The gold is the ground. Black is the hot, and white is the, that worked pretty good. That worked, and white is the ground, or the neutral. So use some wire strippers. Get the plastic off of the black and the white. And these outlets actually usually have a depth gauge on here. Oh, there it is. It's a little line showing the wire and how much meat you need outside of the casing. And that's just about right. So it's about centimeter and a quarter. That's a lot better than just using your needle nose pliers. Or your regular needle nose pliers. Okay. So this one looks pretty good as well. All right, so coolly, these ones, it's actually marked hot black is this side, white neutral is this side. We're gonna stick them in these holes and then tighten down the screws, and then we're gonna connect the ground wire here. And then we'll push the box in, and it will sit nicely within these within the box. And then I'll show you how to tape around the connectors, and we will have this box installed. We can even put the plate on. All right, so hot, make sure you're reading them correctly. I want them looking this way. So we're gonna go hot black is this one. Stick it in one of the holes. There's 2 holes here, just in case you need to even tie something else into the same outlet. There we go. So that. This side's white. Stick it in one of the holes. It pretty much fits in all the way, and the rubber housing goes right up to the edge of the plastic. Screw this in, and it tightens down on the wire. And those 2 wires are not getting out. And then you can see that the plastic goes all the way up to the rubber plastic housing of the wire goes all the way to the plastic of the outlet. So it is pretty protected. I'm probably still gonna put some rubber black tape around it just for a little extra protection, but probably not even necessary. So take that as a lesson to double check, really give a little tug on these wires from the outlet. Black one seems secure. Not sure why this one's being a pain. I'm gonna rip off a tiny bit more of the housing and see if I can get it in a little bit deeper. It might have been a little bit too much. If need be, I can always snip the wire. All right, let's get this sucker in here and secure. So it is in all the way as far as it could possibly go. All right, that one's tighter. So I just hit the right hole that time, and or the length helped it out a good amount. All right, gonna wrap this ground underneath. Okay, so the ground goes on this green screw here. Loosen it up. Even has a nice little washer almost kind of thing. I'm gonna open up, so I use the needle nose pliers to make this little hook. I'm gonna open it up a little bit because it looks like this washer will wrap it around itself. Still looks like it needs a little bit of that hook. Get that hook going again. Weird, the hook got around and underneath that, or came out from that gold washer. Well, I'm gonna, since it's in there and underneath, I'm gonna try tightening it from here. Make sure it sits nicely and it didn't go nowhere. So, I'm gonna tuck this baby in. You want the wire, so the wires, you know, have to be a little tough, but you want. I'm gonna have a little bit extra excess and a little bit of play. Once you get them tucked in there enough, try to get these screws lined up because they'll help compress that wire and get it in there. I'm gonna use the drill just so I don't have to turn so much. I'm gonna get it to the edge and then hand tighten the last bit. So here's one of those things where before you really tighten it, you want to straighten this out. It has a little bit of play. Make sure that it's perpendicular. Parallel, I guess parallel with everything else. It's really tightened. You can probably shimmy it just a little bit any which way. I think it's pretty good. Might be a tad bit turned this way, but probably just because of the wire in the room back there. I probably could have used the biggest, fullest, fattest box, that would go all the way to the back, because that's what's down there. And I just wasn't sure, but this is sufficient. I'm only using this two prong box. So these come with these nice white plate covers. There you go, guys. So this is the first part, well, the first outlet. We gotta tie it down into the outlet that we're tying it into, but this thing is set, ready to go. Looks good. Again, just hand tighten. Maybe if for those OCD people, put the screws all in the same direction. I don't really care, but it is secure. All right, let's tie into the electric down here. All right, guys, so tying into the electric down here, we're going to open these up. We don't want to disturb them. We're just going to add into them. And luckily these big wire connectors should be enough room to house them. All right, so I'm gonna have a little bit of play. Honestly, I'm gonna bring them all the way out to where these ones are. That way, then we can tuck them all in together. So I'm gonna cut it right here. I'm gonna have a little bit of excess. Didn't want to have too much excess, because then it's more to tuck into this box. But I'm gonna try and keep enough of this into the rubber housing, which will keep it a little bit more compacted while it's in the box there. So again, you have the black, white, and red, or gold. That should be enough to tie into these, and then get them tucked in there. So these are about the I believe the 14 gauge, because it's 14.2. So should be able to see which cutter is best for stripping these. There we go, decently easy. All right, so first, and you can see this is 12.2, so it's a heavier gauge wire. I'm going to use my needle nose here. Try and wrap this little 12.2 wire in here before I put this back in. Okay, next we'll do the white. I want to go with the flow in terms of the angle of the cable. Definitely want to use your pliers. You're going to hurt your fingers if you don't. And I think I need a little bit more, since these are going around these thick wires. That white one is in there. Gotta admit, really like these giant cable connectors. Holding some big wires and still able to hold this extra little wire. The wires are going this way, clockwise. Gonna try and tie around them so it fits nicely snugly into the crevice of the bigger wires. Try to get them like a ponytail or a braid of hair. All right, well, our little wire running up there is now tied in. So now we want to tuck this stuff back in here as best as possible without loosening these wires. So you want to kind of do it all together. And they are kind of tough because they are thick wires. Make sure it's straight. Now we can put the cover back on. All right, it is tied in. Now we can test it. Make sure it's looking good. Getting power. Oh, let's go. All right, so now to give that power, we gotta turn on the breaker. Let's go. All right, my friends, that is how you run a new old work outlet or a new outlet, tying it into an existing outlet. We're gonna do a little test, make sure it's working. We got the electrical on. This is just a light. Looks to be working. All right, the real test. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Working good. All right, guys. If you have any questions, let me know. Let us know down in the comments. We really appreciate all the feedback and knowing if this did help anybody. We love DIY. We hope that we are helping people. Please subscribe. We have a lot of new projects coming on. We're going to have a lot of new videos coming up. And smash the bell as well. That way you get notifications when we do have the new videos. Thank you for your time. We appreciate everybody's support. Thank you from Dad Jobs, and good luck on your next DIY project. We'll see you soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.